Welcome to Discovering Geometry with Mrs. Berry. This is Lesson 9. Today we will be talking about space geometry. We've worked on paper with 2D shapes, but now we're going to be working with 3D shapes. This is called space geometry or also solid geometry. So what is space? Space is the set of all points. Space is three-dimensional. It can go up, back, and to the sides. So in 3 dimensions. An isometric drawing shows 3 sides of an object in one view. This is our best way to show a 3D object on our 2D paper. Look at this example. This is a rectangular prism, or maybe a box that we think of, and it is done on isometric paper. That's what those dots are. So connecting those dots can help us to draw 3D when we are first starting out. After a while of practicing on the isometric drawing paper, then you'll probably be able to do these on your own. You can see here that in this last step, we can see 3 sides of this box or rectangular prism. So we can see 3 sides of the 6-sided figure, even though we're really only working on 2D paper. There are 6 main solids that we'll be talking about today: prisms, pyramids, cylinders, cones, spheres, and hemispheres. So prisms are like our boxes, pyramids like the great Egyptian pyramids, cylinders like all the cans that we see sitting on the shelves, cones like an ice cream cone, sphere, any type of ball, and the hemisphere, which is really just half of a sphere. So these are prisms. We have different shaped bases. So a rectangular prism is a rectangle on the top and the bottom. A cube is just a special rectangular prism where there are squares on all sides. A triangular prism would have these triangles as the bases. So these are our bases. There's 2 of them in a prism of the exact same size. And then when you connect the bases, you will have the other sides of your prism. So a triangular prism has 2 bases and 3 lateral sides. A pentagonal prism is going to have 2 bases and 5 lateral sides because there are 5 sides to the pentagon. Here's a hexagonal prism, and you could do it with any polygon. You could make a prism. How to draw a prism? Our book shows us that we can start with a cylinder and then make whatever shape base we want at the top of it. Notice how this is supposed to be a circle, right? It's a visualization of a circle, but because of the angle we're looking at, we're actually drawing an oval. So whatever shape you want for your base, you're going to have to draw it kind of squished to fit into the view that we're drawing from. And then once you have that base at the top, you connect your lines straight down. These are vertical lines, and then any in the back would be dotted because we don't actually see them through the solid. And then we make our bottom base the same as our top. These are different pyramids. We have a triangular pyramid because the base of it is a triangle. So if this is our base, you can see that it's a triangle. And then we'll have 3 sides to the top of the pyramid, 3 lateral sides. Here is a rectangular pyramid. The base is a rectangle, and because the rectangle has 4 sides, then the pyramid would have 4 lateral sides. Notice the sides of the pyramid are all triangles, though some of them are skinnier or wider than others. We can have a pentagonal prism or a hexagon or an octagon pyramid, pentagonal pyramid, a hexagonal pyramid, or an octagonal pyramid. And the way to draw pyramids is a lot like a cone. So we might draw a circle to help us at first, or really an oval, right? A squish circle as we have drawn it. And then you're going to put your point wherever you want the top of the pyramid to be. Then you're going to draw lines. So depending on what shape you want the base to be. So this one is a hexagon. So we put 6 dots down here. That's the 6 vertices of the hexagon. And then we're going to draw lines straight up from those dots to our point at the top. And then we might erase those circles and just draw those lines straight so you can see the hexagonal pyramid. Next, we have cylinders. our cups, our glasses, our cans. So this is what a cylinder would look like if we unfolded it. So we have the two circle tops, and then the side is actually just a rectangle. It seems a little strange when you first think about it, but if you unroll the label of a can, it goes all the way around, it looks circular, but when you unroll it, it's really just a rectangle. So those are our cylinders. How to draw a cylinder, I feel like this is one of the easiest ones. You're going to draw two of those squish circles or two of those ovals, and then a line on either side to help you connect those to draw the curved outside. And then you'll dash the line behind, whether it's the top or the bottom, however you're viewing your cylinder. We have cones. And most of the time we think of cones as straight up and down with the point right over the center, but we can actually have oblong cones that aren't quite centered. We think of traffic cones, we think of ice cream cones. It's the favorite kind of cone. Drawing a cone is very simple as well. You're going to draw that elongated or that oval here, that elongated circle, and then however tall you want it to be, put a point, and then you're just connecting those two, the sides of the oval up to the point and back down. Then you can dash the line behind to show that we don't actually see it if that object was solid. Spheres, lots of things that we play with all the time, all the different kinds of balls. Our apples are kind of spheres, our oranges are more sphere, our globes are spheres. So here is a sphere with all the complicated lines, and they didn't dash the ones that we don't see in the back. But just to give you an idea of how you're going to curve those lines around to make your sphere. A simple way to draw a sphere is a complete circle and mark the center. And then in the middle of the circle, you're going to draw that stretched oval and then dash that one in the back to show that that's on the other side of the sphere. The last shape that we'll talk about is a hemisphere. And here's a picture of Earth divided in half. So remember, we just talked about our globe being a sphere. If we cut that sphere right down the middle, then we have the Western hemisphere and the Eastern hemisphere. And so why do they call it that? That hemi means half. So the hemisphere is half of the sphere. So we cut that sphere in half, and now we have a hemisphere. Drawing a hemisphere is pretty simple as well. We're going to draw that oval, and we'll mark the center, and then we'll draw half a circle above the top, and we'll dash the line in the back, usually the top one, to show how that is on the back. We can also make solids out of revolution. So solid of revolution is just taking a shape and rotating it around a certain axis. So in this case, I have a rectangle, and I'm going to rotate it around this line on the side. This is going to be my axis of rotation. And when I do that, what shape do you think I'm going to make? It's not going to be a prism. When I actually rotate it, it's going to move in a circle, and then it's going to be a rectangle on the side. So what shape did I make? I made a cylinder when I rotated that rectangle. What do you think you would get if you rotated a triangle? That's going to be in your homework. We can also take sections. If I cut a 3D solid, the resulting cross section is going to be a 2D shape. So let's say that I'm just sliding this really flat piece of paper into the middle of my cone. Maybe I'm taking a knife and cutting that cone straight across. What shape is this going to be? Well, in our 3D version, it really looks like I just drew an oval. But if you think about the shape of the cone at the top, if you cut part of it off, you're still going to have a circle. So the section that I am cutting right here on this cone is going to be a circle. Now, that's if I cut it flat with the way that the cone is shaped. If I were to cut it at an angle, it wouldn't quite be a circle. So this is the end of chapter 1. If you're doing tests, make sure that you stop and study a little bit, take a test to make sure that you've understood everything in chapter 1 before you start chapter 2. I'll see you next time.